There you go, Shears.
Hey everybody, welcome. I'm excited to be back with another Easy Tuft class. So this class, I'm going to focus on some different aspects than I did in the first Easy Tuft class that I taught. That one covers more of the basics. I'm sure you can still find it out there. Today we're focusing more on how to do something other than a rug, one, because we're going to make pillows. So here's an example of what we're making. So you can use this tool to make things other than rugs. We're going to be talking about how to do your own pattern just using a ruler or a yardstick or a measuring tape. And we're going to talk about differences in pile height and pile type to get interest and dimension in your projects. So I had Felicia attach a bunch of videos that I'll be referring to that go back and show kind of the basics again. There's some really great resources on the We Are Makers. We Are Memory Keepers was rebranded to We Are Makers, if you didn't know that, on our website. And you can look up Easy Tuft. I gave her those links. There's some links to a great video by Ali Dosdal, who went over some great tips. Using it, there's instructions on how to set up your frame. Mine's already up and ready to go. How to thread the tool, which I will show you that because you do that a lot when you're tufting. So, all right, let's jump in. So I already started with my Easy Tuft frame set up here on my desk, and it goes together really quickly. It's PVC pipe, and it's labeled with alphabet, and you just put the corresponding poles in the corresponding corner brackets, and you've got your frame set up. Then just make sure you clamp it to the table. Mine's clamped down here to the table with the clamps that come with it. And then a tip for tufting, the most important tip is that your fabric, your tufting cloth, should be super tight. So if it starts to get loose as you're tufting, set down your tool for a minute and tighten by twisting these, and you can even pull them off and retighten it if you need to. Another tip I have with that is with use, sometimes these get, a little more loose as they go. I took my hot glue gun and I just ran a little line of glue inside these pieces that snap on, and that helped grab to the fabric a little bit better. You can also do a little squiggly line of glue on your frame if you want to. That's another tip that's covered in those how-to videos on the We Are Makers site. Okay. All right. So we've got it all set up. So first thing we're going to do is make our pattern. Now, the patterns that I did for these pillows, let me grab them both, are very geometric. These were inspired by some anthropology pillows that I saw online, and I just kind of made them my own. This one can go whichever way you like the circles. I think I designed it that way. But really, these are really simple patterns that you can do without having to project or trace anything onto your cloth. So I'll show you how I did it so that you can learn this too. All right, these are 18-inch pillow forms. So I just grabbed a 2-pack of pillow forms from Michael's, and they're the 18-inch ones. So, and I like my pillows to be really fluffy and tight. So I designed my design just a smidgen smaller than 18 inches so that it's tight around that pillow form. So I'm going to start by doing a 17.5-inch square on here. So on the tufting frame and cloth, one of the pillows this size will fit on this cloth. So I'm going to do it a little bit over to this side. You could do it dead center if you wanted to, but the reason I do it to the side is then I can preserve this area. And if you were doing another small project, or you had another small project in mind, like say you wanted to tuft a patch to put on the back of a jean jacket, that would fit right there in that space. And you could tuft it along with this at the same time. So you can work on multiple projects at once. And I wanted you to be able to see that you could do that. Okay, so I want to make sure where I want to start. So this is just a yardstick. Okay, and you can do it with any ruler. This one is longer though, so I liked that it went up past 17.5 inches. So I'm just going to mark out a square, and I'm using these lines that are on my tufting cloth kind of as a guide for straightness. So they should be pretty straight once you get it in there tight. Okay, and I'm keeping it a little bit away from the top and the bottom, so I have some room there. Okay, then I got to go 17.5 inches this way. Kind of using this bottom row to keep it kind of straight. Now it's forgiving. So if you don't get it perfectly straight, don't fret. It's going to be just fine. Okay, so now I'm going to come up here and do 17.5, and then I'm going to connect these two lines right here. Okay, so I have my 17.5-inch square. Can you guys see that? I tried to use a dark color. I'm just using a Sharpie. Now, when you're drawing your own patterns, now this one's very geometric, but you could do it, trying to make this a little darker so you can see better. You could just freehand a drawing if you wanted to, if you're that artistic. You can also use the resources on We Are Makers. There's tufting templates that are free that have some really fun patterns on there that you print on your printer and tape to the back of your project and then trace through. You can see the lines. You can also use a little projector and project an image onto it. But the main thing to keep in mind is that you're working from the back of your rug. So the front of your rug is over there, right? Or your pillow or your design. So you need to mirror your image. For these geometrics, it doesn't matter because they're just equal, right? So it doesn't matter. But if you're doing a design that direction does matter, remember to mirror it and that you're working from the back of it. Okay, so this next part, so now we have our 17.5-inch square. Now I'm going to use this ruler to mark my lines on my pillow are 1 inch wide. So I'm going to mark my corners just from corner to corner where 1 inch is. Okay, so these are just little tiny tick marks across the corner at 1 inch. Oh, I'm going to use this other end. Doesn't matter which end I use, right? To do 1 inch. And again, tufting is pretty forgiving. As long as you have it close, it's going to look great. Okay, I'm going to do this corner. And then when we finish our pillow, all of these marks will be hidden. You won't see any of them. Even if I draw outside of the line, you won't see it. Okay, so now I've got my 4 corners marked. And now we're going to connect across, so you can kind of see my little mark there and my little mark there. We're just going to connect those with a straight line across. This is another reason I like using a yardstick, because it's got a nice edge and it's long, so I can get it all the way across this 18-inch pillow. Try and do my line a little darker so you can see it. Okay, so we have 1 line, okay? And I'm going to repeat that across all this so that we have an X going across our pillow. Okay, now this way. I started with this one because it's a little bit more complicated, and if you can do this one, you can do that other one. I'll show you how I did the curves in just a second, once we finish mapping this one out. Okay, think about this so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, just basically making a 1 inch wide X from corner to corner. Okay, can you see that? So now I have this diamond in the middle where they met, and my X's are going across, and these are about 1 inch wide. Okay, so now we need to do the next piece that I did were these little V's that came in each section of this. So to do that, I just needed to find center on each line, and that is 8 3/4. So 8.75. So I'm just going to put this on here again and mark at 8 3/4 on each side. Could have done this, I guess, when I was doing my 1 inch marks too, but it just makes more sense to my brain to go each side at a time and each shape at a time. Okay, so I'm just marking center at 8 3/4. Okay, so now I've got these little marks at 8 3/4. Okay, and now just to help me out, I'm going to draw a dotted line. And the reason I'm doing a dotted line is these I'm going to tuft inside, but this line, I don't want to confuse myself. And I'm going to know it's just a pattern line. It's not for tufting. So I'm just going to, this just helps my brain again, right? So I just have this dashed line going through here and dashed line going through here. That just makes sure that we're getting everything straight. And it should also line up to your triangle, your little diamond shape that you have in the middle going on here. That's how you'll know you got it centered, right? Okay, so I've got my crisscrossy dashed lines going through here. It's pretty close. This is center, okay? And then I'm going to measure on this dotted line. My peak of my next triangle that's coming up is 4.5 inches up. So I'm going to mark on this dotted line 4.5 inches up. Okay, you could put a dot, you can put a little line, whatever you want to do on each of these lines, 4.5 inches. This sounds more complicated as I'm saying it than it actually is. I hope it's making sense to your brains. Okay, 4.5 inches. Geometrics are good because they're balanced, right? So that you can just easily measure out the same thing and it's not as confusing. Okay, I did take notes though, so that I would know what I'm doing. Okay, and then we're going to measure. We need to come 1 inch down, right? Okay, actually, we need a place for these to connect. Sorry, see, I know it sounds harder than it is, but my brain has to do the math. So this center line at the top, now I'm going to mark 3.5 inches on either side of that. So now we're at 3.5 inches. I'm going to make a mark. Okay, on all 4 sides. I like to move my ruler. If you have a more math brain that can add quickly, you could just come over, right? But I just move my ruler. That's what's fastest for me. Do what works for you. Okay. 3.5 there. 3.5 there. Now, just like we did before with our first X, we're going to bring these points down and connect them. And that's how we're going to start to get the shape of our little V's that come in. Okay, so now I'm connecting from the 3.5 inch dots down to this one that I made on my dashed line at 4.5 inches. Okay, on all 4 sides. I wanted to show you that you can just use basic things and get a really classy looking project, right? And you could always draw this out on paper first if you wanted to just make sure you have your math right. I just started with that center and started working off that right on my tufting cloth. But again, if you feel more comfortable kind of sketching it out first, do that. Yeah, whatever helps you feel successful.
That you are explaining this very well.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Okay. All right, so now I've got 4 triangles. Okay, so there's my 4 triangles, but I want them to be 1 inch wide again, right? And so now I need to go in and mark inside of these to make them have a 1 inch width, right? Okay, so how I did that is on the inside of each point, I came down about 1.25 inches, and I found in this point, I liked the look of that more. So rather than marking it at 1 inch, I wanted a little bit more ease in that corner because it started to get too skinny when it came up in there. So that's the one that's not a 1 inch, 1.25, okay? And then from each side on the inside of each triangle, I did 1 inch, okay? So I'll draw the lines on this one so you can kind of see. So now we're just doing the same thing again, right? Now I'm going to have this little triangle inside. So now I've got this little triangle going on there, okay? So we're going to do that on all 4 sides again, working our way around. 1.25, then 1 and 1. And then connect. You can just draw right on this fabric. It takes, I like Sharpie, but you could use any pen. The Sharpie I find just works really well. And if I make a mistake, I just scribble it out. I'll show you how I mark my pattern to stay, again, to help my brain stay straight of what I'm doing, right? Okay, so now we have 1 left. 1.25, 1 and 1. And connect them. Okay, that's our pattern. Okay, now there's different things you can do to help yourself keep track. So on my pillow, these bigger sections are going to be cream, and these smaller 1-inch sections are going to be my pink. So there's different ways you can do it. You could take the color that it is and kind of color it in, just so you keep it in your head. That's where pink goes. I don't know if you can see that on camera very well, but you can kind of like do a little basic coloring in there, right? Or you could take and just mark it with the letter of the color. I've done that before where I've gone through and gone pink, 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 pink. Okay, and on more complicated patterns, it's helpful. This also helps me because I like to tuft one color at a time, so I don't have to switch out my yarn as much. So that's just personal preference. I don't know if you can see that, but I have little P's there. Just find a way that works for you, right? If you have this colorful set of Sharpies like I have, then you can just find the color and color it in if you want. And that helps me to know. And you could even mark these with C's, right? Or write cream, cream, right? Whatever works for your brain. My purple marker is drying out. So I could do cream, cream, C, just so that I can keep track for my brain, right? Okay. However, whatever works for you. But now I have all of my cream sections marked and all of my pink sections marked. And I am going to tuft this with a regular cut pile, which is how your tufting tool, your Easy Tuft tool comes. It is set to cut pile. And what that means is every time that it pushes the yarn through the canvas, it has scissors in here that also jump out and cut that for you. Okay, and so it gives this texture. Let me grab the pillow again. Okay, so it's more like a common like rug where it's kind of plushy. All right, and later I'll show you how to switch it to loop pile, and I'll show you that here. So the brown is cut pile, but this cream on here is loop pile. So it does lots of little loops. So it's more like a Berber carpet, if you know Berber carpet. All right, we're going to start with our pink. And actually, let me flip that. We're going to start with the cream. And the reason is I want to carve down my cream before I put my pink in. And that's how I got some of this definition. I don't know if you can tell, but my pink is taller than my cream is. Okay, and I did that with the carving shears because I like that bumpy texture, that having the pink pattern come up out of it, how that looks. Okay, the best way to use the yarn with the Easy Tuft is to use yarn cakes. So these are like little skeins that are like flat on the bottom. Most yarns don't come this way, so you have to find a way to wind your own cake. Michaels sells this awesome little tool that you just take your yarn from your skein and wind it on here, and it turns it into these little cakes. And that's how I made these. In one of those videos I linked, the one that Allie is teaching on there, some tips, she shows you how to do it only using a Sharpie. So you don't have to have the tool. The tool is nice to have, but you don't have to have it. Okay, I'll show you what I'm doing here. So I like to pull a little bit of the yarn out. So see how this one is kind of binding up? Now I've got it flowing loose again. Okay, that's what you want. This yarn cake is going to fight with me, I have a feeling. Sometimes you have to rewind the cakes because you really want it flowing smoothly out of there on that center pull. And if it starts to get, see how mine got tangled and it pulled out like a weird section, I'll probably want to rewind this yarn cake. So let me grab, oh, it's the only one I brought. So we're going to deal with it. Sometimes if you pull out a chunk from the center, you can get past that and rewind. Sorry, yarn, it tingles. This is like the most, if anything's frustrating about tufting, it's yarn. But if you're a crocheter or a knitter, then you already know this pain, right? Of how it likes to just knot itself up. Usually I don't have trouble with the cakes like this though. It's gonna fight with me, but we'll try to work with it. Oh man. Sorry. 1 second while I untangle a length. Okay, You find my end. Usually I just get it to where it's pulling loosely out of the cake. Okay, like this one is cooperating. So, and then I just set them on the ground. Another tip is I like to usually set them inside something like a bowl or a little box or something to keep them stable on the ground. And then just make sure you're not stepping on your yarns. Okay, and then to thread the machine, you're going to take this little tool that comes in with the machine. Let me get it over here where you can see it. So it's got this little wire loop on the top, and you just thread that. And this is also in the how-to videos that I linked to. You thread it up through, make sure your power's off, because you don't want to accidentally bump your go switch when you're threading. Then thread it up through the hole in the tool right here at the pointy part, right there. Okay, let me get it where you can see that part. There's a hole, and you thread it up through that, and then through this loop, this coiled loop that's on the top. Okay, so you can see that loop right there. Okay, then you just put, I like to do 2 pieces of yarn at a time. So you thread the two through your little threader, and then you just pull it through the machine, and it pulls it both through the loop and through the tip of your tool right here. Okay, so now you've got this yarn, and this yarn is free flowing in here, right? That's why I say be careful not to step on your yarn or roll a chair over it, because you want it to be able to pull through here just like that. That's also why you get to rethread it a lot, because sometimes it gets hung up when you accidentally step on it and then it pulls it out. That's not a big deal. Just keep that little tool handy and we can go. Okay. On the tool, this button is your trigger for how to have it start tufting. This little knob down here on the bottom is your speed. And for beginners, you might want to start out slower. And then as you get the hang of it, you can increase your speed. Then this is your power switch. So now I have my power switch on. Okay, and I usually keep my yarn over my other arm, also as a buffer. And you just start at the bottom, and I'm going to start, let's see, where can I start? I'll start right here in this middle part. And what I like to do is I like to outline mine first and then fill. And you start from bottom and work up. So I'll show you how I do that. This is kind of noisy, so hopefully you can hear me. Okay. And it's putting it in there, and it's creating the cut for me, so I don't have to cut anything. Another trick is to get it tight. You can see I'm pushing it to where it's tight, and I hold it there. Okay, that helps to get good, even tufting. Since I'm working close to the edge, I might have to tighten frequently. It's another tip for you. So now you just start at the bottom and you fill however you want to fill in lines from bottom to top. Okay, and I'm just pushing it in and letting go of the trigger at the top. Now, if you accidentally go too far or go in the wrong place, no worries, because until we glue this in, these are loose. And you can see I can just grab them and pull them out. So if you need to say, oops, I went up into my pink spot, I want to pull those out, you can pull those out now, and you can pull them out later. Until you glue it, they're held in there lightly, but you can pull them out if you pull on them. So every so often, I'm just pulling up more slack on my yarn. Okay, let me get a few lines of this down here so I can show you the carving. Really, I just like turn on a podcast. Oops, my headphone fell out. Or some music, or kind of a mindless TV show. And you can do that while you're tufting. It's kind of relaxing. It's kind of like coloring, but with a power tool. It's kind of fun. My yarn ball is giving me fits again. Sorry, gotta loosen up some more. Maybe I'll just cut it and start fresh. Hang on. Look at my knot. See? Yarn. Ah, there we go. Okay. We'll just use that for a different project, because now I have some yarn that's going to come out. Okay. I'm going to rethread real quick. I always turn the power off when I rethread. It scares you if you accidentally leave it on and you accidentally hit the power button. Okay. Try to do this again to where you can see it. So I'm just threading it up through the hole in the tip and through the hole in the coil. It's a lot easier to do when you're not trying to show it on camera and hold it. When you have a surface, you can set it down on it. It's a little easier. Then I just pull that through and release the tool, and I'm ready to go again. If my yarn will cooperate, that one yarn skein. Now, the reason I'm using two skeins, I think in my tangles, I didn't explain why I do that. I like a really thick plush result. So since this is standard weight yarn, I find that I get a plushier result when I do 2 at a time, and it's faster. It fills it faster. You don't have to press your tool into your cloth as much because this is a really open weave on this tufting cloth. So it has holes in it already, and it tends to rip if you overwork it. So you can see, I don't know if we can get a close-up of this, but you can kind of see that I do my lines kind of close together. We'll see if we can get a close-up. There we go. So they're pretty close together, those lines. I don't have a lot of space between them. Again, that's because I like it to be really tight. And I try to only go 1 or 2 times over the cloth, because if I go more than that, I find I rip a hole in it. Now there is coming back from ripping a hole in it, and I can talk to that if we have time at the end. Oh, turn my power back on. But I try to not rip a hole in it because it just makes it easier. Now, if you're starting to see all these little cut ends and they're in your way, just pull those out. They're just the ends from the cuts that sometimes pull to the back. Also, if you ever have your tool start to beep at you, it kind of stops and it goes beep, right? That means that you've got something jammed in the mechanism right up here in the tip of the tool. So either you're trying to go through a spot that already has enough yarn in it and it's like, whoa, too much, I can't make it through all that thickness. It'll beep at you and yell at you to stop. Or you may need to make sure you don't have a knot in your yarn, or there's something that's jamming right here in the tool that's keeping this yarn from flowing smoothly through. Okay, let me outline one more cream section before we put some pink in here. Oh, see, I came unthreaded. It's probably because of that yarn ball that I'm eking along. If it wasn't a class, I would just quickly rewind it. I would rewind it into another ball, just so that I wouldn't have to fight
I've been
with it.
talking about.
What? It's Friday? Oh yeah,
It's that Friday I've been.
it's true. It's that yarn is just like, nope, it's Friday. I'm gonna just be hard for you. Especially since, you know, you're in a class. But now, you know, I don't often mind when things go wrong in classes, because then you guys can see that there is coming back from it. There are things you can do. You can troubleshoot. Hopefully it helps you to not be frustrated, and you can just say, oh, okay, even Shannon is having problems here and there. Sometimes that just happens. Okay. Again, I like to outline my shape. It helps me to know where to stop a little bit easier. That's my personal preference. So you can decide how you like to do it. That line's not perfectly straight, so I'm going to go over it a second time and just kind of fill in, pull my little loose threads out. Okay, you can kind of see the process here, right? Oh, and now in getting slack, I pulled my yarn out. That's why you keep that threader tool handy. I frequently have to rethread. And you know, every tufter I've watched tuft for inspiration or anything like that, they have the same problem. So I'm glad it's not just me. I think it's just part of the patience learning that you do when you do tufting. It's so hard to hold this on camera and do it. It's so much easier when you can just put it on the table and do it. You'll see when you do it at home. Hopefully you've already played with your tufting machine. It's so fun. Even my little 5-year-old granddaughter is intrigued by this. I have to help her, but she's not scared of it. She wants to hold on and go. She thinks it's fun. And it is. It is fun. I'm going to tighten up my cloth again. Just every so often, I just like to tighten it up. Oh man, you guys, my thread. My yarn. You're right, Felicia. My yarn is not happy. Try to get this little piece out of the way so that this can pull. Yeah, really, I would rewind this yarn ball. So let's skip over to the next step that I want to show you guys. Okay, so let's just pretend I went ahead and just finished tufting all of this cream. So I would do all of the cream at once. I would stop and rewind my yarn ball first so that it would stop coming out of me. And then I'm going to loosen my clamps on the table. Once I had all of my cream, now again, this is personal preference. I like to carve my colors in between colors. I just find that I get the best dimension that way. Some tufters like to do the whole project, so they'll tuft all the color at once and then go back in with the carving shears. I find that I like to do it one color at a time. Sorry, this table has a little lip, so I have to unwind it really far to get it off.
Hey, Shannon, there's a quick question asking what kind of yarn do you use?
I'm just using standard yarn from Michaels. It's just standard weight yarn, and it's the Michaels brand one. Impeccables, I think, is what it's called. Alicia, if you know. In the
I'm
class list, I put down all of the, in the class supplies list, I put down all the 3 colors of yarn I use. And I really do like that brand of yarn. So it works really well. Okay, let me flip this around so you can kind of see it. Let's see. I think this will be the best way. Maybe this bar might get a little in the way, but I'm hoping you can see that there. So now this is all the plush on the back, right? And I am going to grab my carving shears. So these are the Easy Tuft carving shears. They're just like little clippers. They have attachments to do longer cutting, or you can also adjust them a little bit here by sliding this knob. They're rechargeable. So I plugged them in, charged them up, and they're ready to go. So since I want my white shorter than my pink, I'm going to carve this down quite a bit. So I'm just coming in with these and just coming right onto this yarn and carving it down. And I try to keep them as flat as I can. Let me go this way so you can kind of see it a little bit better. We'll see if I can be ambidextrous. Okay. And I just pull it off. Usually I keep a little vacuum cleaner next to me, like a little dust buster, like tabletop vacuum. I just have this tiny line because I only did my outline on that part because my yarn was giving me fits. But normally I would have all the cream on here, right? And so I'm just going to do all the cream. Now, be careful with your trimmers. So let me show you from the side. I like to come, if you can get a close up, you can touch these to the fabric, but keep the blades. See those little blades? They're vibrating right now. But there's little tiny blades right there. You can kind of see them. Okay, those can rip holes in your fabric too if you're not careful. So use a light hand, and I like to come in with them slightly angled up, but I hook down to the bottom and then just come up. I gently am touching them to the base of the fabric. If you are getting holes when you're carving, then you might want to try doing all, consistently you're getting holes. Tuft all the color and then come back in and carve, because you can carve in between colors, or you can carve at the end. And this, I just kind of judged it how I wanted it to be. So I just kind of come in. I like coming in from the sides because it really defines the shape. You can come in at an angle this way too. I don't know if you can see that going that direction. Let me try this side. Okay, so I'm just gently carving at an angle to sculpt these edges, and that will define your lines more. Now, depending on your rug, you may not need to carve very much. You may not want a lot of definition. For these geometrics, I really wanted them defined. So I carved them quite a bit. Okay, and I'm just going to shorten this down. And you can see when you do it on your own, I don't know if you can see this on camera very well, but you can see that it starts to get shorter and it looks tighter and tighter and tighter, more and more dense, the more that you carve down. And you can really go down pretty short. I would leave at least 1/4 inch just so it doesn't come out of there until we glue it, so it stays in place. Okay, but see why I like it nice and thick so that I can carve that in there, right? Let me show you on my finished pillow real quick. A little bit more of how you can do it once you have everything on there. Okay, so let's say this is just all one length. I can still come in at an angle. Let me do it this direction so you can see. Okay, I angle my scissor toward the color, my trimmer. and just kind of angle it that way. You can do it coming up. And you can see I'm getting mostly cream off. Okay, so it's personal preference. And then you can also shape your pink a little bit if you want. Just angling it up. Okay, so you can, it's really how you like to do it. And if you decided, oh, there's not enough height difference between the pink and the cream once you've gotten it done, you can come back in and just do an overall. I just try to keep it flat. It's really quite easy to trim, as long as you're not getting any holes. So that's why I say if you're getting holes in your fabric, you'd rather do it like this, just tuft all the colors at first, right? Because now and then it is really easy to accidentally nick your fabric with the clippers. Okay, so I've got this cream one down pretty good. Normally I would take my shop vac or vacuum cleaner and just suck all that up, but I'm just gonna leave it. Clamp this back to my table. Let's do a little bit more of the pink. I have to wind these clamps so much on this table. But you want it nice and sturdy on there so it doesn't move around. Again, that's like you want it tight. Okay, I think that's good. All right, let's try our pink cakes. So I have 2 pink yarn cakes now. Let's try tufting with those a little bit. Okay. Let me check my time. Actually, maybe I'm going to skip this part. I'll thread in this because I want to make sure to cover the different kinds of pile. And time goes so fast in class. I could probably teach like a 3-hour class on this, just because there's so many things I could teach you about it. But I'm going to put the pink in anyway. So I just threaded the pink in the same way. I did two strands. I like 2 strands if it's a regular or lightweight yarn. If it's a thicker yarn, like if you're using a super chunky yarn, you probably only need 1. I'm just twisting this around because I got my yarn around my cord. That's not free flowing, right? We want it free flowing out of those cakes. All right, so I wanted to show you how I did a couple of things. So I would just keep going first to finish this thought and doing the pink in my pink lines, right? Until I get this pattern. So that's how I did that with all the pink in the V's that we made and in the crisscrosses that we made. And then just carving it, I carved all of my cream about 1/4 of an inch shorter than what the finished pink lines were, just so that I have that little ridge. It's just nice, feels good. All right, so for this one, I wanted to show you how I got a curve on it and how that's easy. So these were just 1-inch lines, right? So just like we were doing these 1-inch lines, I just came across my pattern and I just did 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch straight down, right? To get these. Oops, this side, these. Okay. And then I just colored them so that I would keep track of which one was tan and which one was cream all the way across. And then to get these half circles up here, I just took my marker and I took, what can I use? Let me use a pin. Okay, you can use a pin, you can use a push pin, and I took a little length of yarn. Let me grab some off the floor that I cut off that other skein. And I just tied it around my marker. We're making our own little compass. Have you ever used a compass before, a compass tool? If you had a compass tool, you could use it on here. But I'm doing a DIY compass. Okay, so let's say this is the corner where I wanted my circle to start. A push pin works a little bit better than this, but I'm just using a sewing pin. Okay, and I'm going to put this down here where I can hold it. And I'm going to do my outermost one first. So I'm just holding it at the pin or wrapping it around the pin so it stays the same length. That's why a push pin works better. Okay, so I've got yarn from pin to marker. Then I'm just going to hold it and trace. Okay, then I would shorten that by 1 inch, keeping it in the same spot, and trace. Okay, I'm kind of doing it haphazardly because I'm not actually using my pin. Okay, but you can kind of see how you could keep going. Okay, see how it's doing it? Measure out 1 inch again, shorten it. Okay, and you can see I didn't even do that like really precisely, and I still have just about 1 inch between each of those. Okay, so you could come in and you could say, that's the line I want. And I'd just make myself a note like, don't use that line. Okay, use this line. And as long as it's pretty close, it'll look great. So that's how I did those. And then that would be in a corner, right? So that's how I did those on that pillow. Really easy technique. You don't need any special tools to do it. Just a pen and a bit of yarn that you already have that you're using. And just, you could measure an inch again and shorten your yarn each time you do another little strip. And then just make sure you label it so you know which one's tan, right? Tan, 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 or you can color it in just like we did on our other one so that you know where your cream goes and where your color goes. Okay.
Hey, Shannon, there's a question for you.
Yes.
There's a question asking, do you have to tuft on tufting cloth, or could you add as an accent to a cloth you're using to make a pillow?
You know, I haven't tried it, so I'm not certain. It depends on if this tip is pretty chunky and it has to go all the way through flush. So you can see that when I tuft, I'm pushing it really hard into the fabric and just leaving it there with even pressure, okay, to get a nice clean tufting line. So it would depend on, I tried it on linen one time because I felt like it had a big enough weave and it wouldn't go through it. So this monk's cloth or tufting cloth is the best one to do it. I'll show you how I took this and turned it into a pillow. The only other thing I wanted to show you is the loop pile. So with loop pile, I have two tools. So I was lucky and I was able to say, I set this one to loop pile. And these are the two pieces that you take out of the scissors. You take the case off, it disables the scissors. And so it's no longer cutting between every thing for you. So I wanted to show you how I do that. Because you disable the scissors, that's how you get a loop. Okay, so let me show you real quick. And in those videos that I linked, there is a step-by-step video of how to switch your gun to loop pile, because you can switch it back and forth from loop to cut. I just taped the little screw and the little block that disables the scissors to the side of my tool so I wouldn't lose it, but you could put it in a baggie, whatever you need to do. Just if you're going to switch it back to cut pile ever, you're going to need to put those back in. So keep track of those pieces. But there is a step-by-step that shows you exactly how to do that in those links. So let me show you the difference. So before, when I did this line, I just stuck it in, tufted it up, pulled it out, and it was fine, right? So since this one is looping on the other side, let me do a line. It's going to look a lot the same right now. Okay, but when I stop at the top, if I pull this out, look what happens. Okay, see how it's pulling it out? It's because it didn't cut the yarn ever. So at the top of each line, you have to keep your scissors handy when you're doing the loop pile. So I wanted to show you that difference. So let's say I'm doing a loop. I usually stop at the top, hold it with my scissors a little, and snip, okay? And that way, and if it pulled out a little bit, I can go in and add more, but just remember, you got to snip it again with your scissors, okay? So with loop pile, you have to cut it yourself. So I wanted to show you that little trick. Okay, then let me show you, adhesive. So there's like 2 or 3 more steps that I want to show you real quick. So the adhesive that we have is this Easy Tuft adhesive. You can use regular carpet glue that you can get like at Home Depot, but I like this one, especially if I'm using it on something that I want to be more flexible, like a pillow or something like that I'm putting on a bag or a jacket, something like that, because this one is really flexible when it's dry. Sometimes the carpet adhesives from the hardware store, they dry a little bit yellow. This one dries more clear and white. So if you're doing, like, I did a cloud rug one time and I was really glad I had this one because I ran out and I had a little corner that I had to do with the regular carpet glue and it was yellow in that corner. I could see a difference in the color of my cloud rug. So you want to wear gloves because this is like the stickiest glue you will ever use, I promise. And so is the one from the hardware store. And I just put it directly onto my palette knife. So you can see that there. And again, I start at the bottom and work up. So once this whole thing is tufted, it's trimmed how you want, or you could trim it after you glue. It's up to you. And then you just need to secure all your thread, all your yarn. So you can see now this has glue on it, okay? And it takes for a pillow this big, it took me about a bottle and a half. So to do 2 pillows, you'd probably need 3 bottles of adhesive, because you want to make sure to get every piece of yarn in there. Now, if some pull out when you do it, it's okay. 1 or 2 threads here or there, it's not going to be a big deal, okay? And I always make sure I go just barely over the edge, and I'm making sure it's easier when the whole thing's tufted. I'm just doing this tiny little square right now, so it's like kind of coming off of it, but you would just go all the way up, right? Just keep moving it up and moving it up and moving it up until your whole thing is done. And you can come in on the edges like this too, okay? Then you let it dry for at least 8 hours. I usually do it and leave it like a day. I leave it overnight just so that I know it's all the way dry, but you can touch it and you can tell if it's dry or wet. Okay, so that's the adhesive. So now we're going to do some movie magic. I'm going to pull this back off. If I can get it off. And I'm going to grab my pillow that has already had the glue dry and show you how I made it into a pillow. Another option, you know, for the person who had the question about if you were working on an existing pillow, you can make like patches, I guess, out of it. So you could tuft it onto tufting cloth and trim it just like really close to it once the glue is dry. And then you could just glue that or stitch that onto an existing pillow. So you could do it that way, but you probably do need this kind of cloth to tuft successfully. But I've tufted and then cut out exactly around the image and done like a daisy patch on the back of a jean jacket. It was really cute. Or like words on a tote bag. I've done that before, and that was really fun too. So this one and that one that's all I did. So see how this one's now glued. Okay, everything is secure and I can touch it and my finger comes away dry. Okay, so you take it out of the frame. This frame's really tight because I did my hot glue trick on it. And then it's got these little pegs in each corner. When you see how to set up your frame, you'll see that as well. They're in there super tight. So I like to use the edge of my scissor to pop those out. That helps your corners stay tight when you're tufting. Sorry to be referring you to other videos, but they really are, like, the resources for help for this tool are really good. And there's a lot online that will show you exactly that, even better than I could show you in class, because we got like really good camera angles of how to actually set up the frame and how to thread and everything. So you can see it really clearly with a super close up. Okay, now I have my pillow. So you can see I did my carving already. But if you wanted to touch up your carving now, again, you can. Like I could take my carving shears on here again, or even just scissors. Like if there's a few rogue threads, you can just take your scissors and kind of just snip, right? Here and there. You can always clean it up more. But when you're happy with it, then what I like to do is I take my scissors and I cut around this image. Now, this is where I was saying if you wanted to make it into a patch, you could either cut it right up against it, or you could cut it and fold the edge around, right? Like this, like when you're doing a rug, that's how you finish a rug, is you fold the edge around. Okay, and then you could just have a clean edge like that, that you could then glue on or stitch on by hand to a pillow. Let me show you how I did mine. So I just cut these out real quick. I left about, I want to say it was an inch, but let me make sure. Yep, a 1-inch border. So I kept about a 1-inch border around here, and I'm just cutting it off. I'm not really measuring it and being super precise again. So see how I have all this extra cloth? I could have done another little project right there, right? So I'm not wasting my cloth. I also sometimes keep pieces like this to mend in case I get a hole in my project when I'm in the middle of tufting. You can mend it by taking a little piece of this and sewing it around the hole to give yourself more cloth to work with. So sometimes I keep a piece of that just for scrap, just in case that happens. These scissors are not extra sharp. You need to sharpen these guys. Okay, fourth side. Okay, once I got this trimmed down to about an inch around the whole thing. I just cut 2 pieces of white cotton. Now this is it's still tacky kind of on the back. It's weird, the carpet glue, it still is slightly sticky, and I found that it was easier to work with when sewing if I covered that up. So I just took a piece of this cotton and I just pressed it into there to kind of line and cover my glue. Okay, so now I've got my pillow and one line. Okay, then I flipped it back over this way, and how I made it into a pillow is I just took another piece. I probably should have gotten cream. These were cream. This is white, but get a color that matches your yarn. And I just put this on top like this. And then I took my regular sewing pins. So these are just regular sewing pins. And I just found the edge of the tufting and then put my pins in right near the edge so I could kind of feel where the edge is, okay? And I came all the way around. I did 3 sides on this one. Okay, and just kept pinning around the edges. Okay. So I've got fabric face down on my pillow, face up, and then another piece of fabric on the back so it doesn't stick to everything. This helps when you're putting it through your sewing machine so it doesn't stick to your sewing machine. Okay, so I would just continue with these pins all the way around here, okay? And I would leave an opening on these pillows because but look how flexible that is. That's why I like that We Are adhesive, that Easy Tuft adhesive. It works really good. So I'd pin all the way around and leave a gap so I could turn it. Then I would just take it to my sewing machine and sew with my sewing machine, just as close. I put my needle all the way over to like the left or the right. And those of you who are seamstresses, hopefully you know how to do this. You can move your needle position so it's all the way over close to the edge of where the tufting is. And then I just sewed around 3 sides, right? All the way around, and maybe around these corners, leaving a gap where it was open. And then once that's sewn, you just take it and you just flip it inside out, right? So then you flip it. So now you have your stitched line is where my pins are. Okay, but you would have a little case, and then you would just have to fold in and hand stitch the little opening where you've turned it through, right? And you can also trim off your corners like before you flip it out so that they're not bulky in the corners. And that's all you do. And you have the pillow. So, oh, and after you turn it out, before you hand sew it, important, put your pillow form in, right? So grab your pillow form. After you sew the 3 sides, put your pillow form in, right? Because you have to shove it in the open side. And then you'll have your finished pillow, okay? So it was that pretty easy pillow construction. It doesn't take a ton of sewing. You don't have to do it with a sewing machine. You could do it by hand if you wanted to. You could buy, like this one, I did a little bit different as I was figuring it out. So I have a seam right here, kind of like purchasable pillow sham covers that you can get. You could just glue or sew the tufted piece right onto that or onto an existing pillow. You could sew it by hand around and just do like a whip stitch all the way around it and get a very similar look without using a sewing machine. Okay, did I cover everything I wanted to? I hope so. I hope that you guys are excited about this tool and that you will give it a try on something that you don't think of, like think outside the box of rugs. You don't have to do only rugs. And I love how these turned out. They look almost identical to the ones on Anthropologie, which I think is actually pretty cool because I was able to do these for a lot less than those would have cost me at Anthro. So I hope that you will look at those links, get to know your tool, get comfortable with it, practice, and try some fun new things. Thanks so much for having me in class today.